Two races left in the Season 2 Tier 3 RPL Championship, and it's come down to two drivers as well. Welcome along, folks, for round number 9 of the season. We are here for Brazil, and just like in Tier 2 last season, this time in Tier 3 this season, it is a sprint. Let's find out how the drivers do. 48 total laps ran, and if you want to include our qualifying sessions, we'll definitely get drivers running up over 50 laps the entire weekend. This should be a fun one. And you know what? There's also two constructors that have a legitimate chance, four who mathematically have a chance left tonight, but two drivers have a chance tonight. Still in the championship. No one else eligible, just Uri and Turbo, the two drivers from the same country. So, round 9 of the season, we said, and let's get things going in Brazil, Sao Paulo. The first time we ran here in Tier 3, in fact. That will be interesting for the drivers because some of them did run in this event in Tier 2 at the season finale. We'll see if any of those guys take their experience with them. Speaking of someone with experience around this circuit and other circuits, someone who's had 2 to 3 years of experience in RPL joins me tonight on the commentary booth. I'm Ryan Searles. He's Blue Gaki14. Gaki, welcome along. It is very good to have you. It's your first time commentating here in RPL, but also your first time commentating in 3 years. It's good to have you.
Hello. Yeah, should be an interesting one, as we know Brazil has thrown up some crazy races in real life F1, 2008 and 2021 being some of them. Yeah, it should be an interesting one. Two very good competitors, UI and Turbo. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see which one comes on top, including the sprint, which also should throw things up into the air a bit more. Let's see if anyone can get into the mix. Maybe Ardell. So good shout for being up there on the podium. But yeah, it should be an interesting one.
It very much should be, and you spoke of Ardell. Ardell was on the podium last week. Goatley was too. It was only the third time that we've had an Academy 1-2, meaning that it's not a Team 1-2, but it's two cars from the Academy. Example, Ferrari Haas, Ferrari Sauber, or Mercedes Aston this time, and all other times we've had it be Red Bull V-Carb or Red Bull V-Carb Red Bull. We had that last week when Uri won ahead of Goatley and Ardell. Ardell really looked like he challenged his teammate for quite a bit during the race last week, but penalties set him back. Goatley also got a penalty late. That set him back. And Uri, the championship leader, he's not had a track limit penalty this season at all. He had one in Tier 2 the day after last week when we raced, but that is a tier he doesn't race full time in. Next season he will, but it's a big thing not to have penalties really happen in this championship fight. Uri had a drive-through in Spa, and that really cost him, but Turbo got one last week, and that really cost him, and he also reset the track, getting yet another penalty, and they were practically tied. Only a half a point separated Uri and Turbo heading into last week's Grand Prix. Now it's 23.5 points at the top of our table. Gaki, you really didn't have a legitimate chance of winning the Tier 2 championship, but you put a lot of pressure on yourself in Singapore and last week in Imola to just stay in the fight. What do we need to see from Uri and Turbo considering the circumstances last week in Miami? Turbo finished 9th, Uri won the race.
I think patience comes down to it a lot, because there were some times in, say, for Singapore that I definitely got a bit too desperate, and I went for moves that like really weren't on. So I think it just comes down to keeping your head cool. But if you're a bit further down in the back than you should, it's just kind of making your way through slowly, not getting desperate, not getting stressed. Just keep calm and make your way through as best as you can. But you know, you also got to consider how your rivals are doing, because you know if you're down in 5th and your rival's leading, you know you've got to get up there quickly. But then you also can't get ahead of yourself. You can't lose your head. You know you have to not get into a situation where you have to be desperate to get up the field.
And we also ran last week's race in Miami without a safety car. I think we only had 1 or 2 VSCs. I think we had 2 or 3 retirements, but they all came in the pit lane or due to game glitches, which really screwed Polish Hammer over. We had a 6-car train at the front of the field. He disappeared from that after logging out, and he tried to rejoin, and well, the game said not happening tonight. And Invade won the race on track as well. He fell back due to a 10-second time penalty he got for speeding on the pit lane. This is a track where it's easy to speed in the pit lane. This happened constantly in the Tier 1 race. We had 4 or 5 different drivers trying to get it in quite fast, and it did not work out for them. They got it in a little too fast. They sped in the pit lane. Multiple occasions where that happened in the Tier 1 race. Drivers have got to be careful with that tonight, and we have another chance for them to make sure they don't have that happen. You have qualifying, sprint qualifying, and the race. So really for these Tier 3 drivers, there really should be no excuse to see the amount of speeding penalties in this race that we saw in the Tier 1 race that we ran just a few weeks ago. Tier 2 also ran this race last season. That was with wet weather. That will be interesting to see what happens for the event tonight. We should be getting things going here in just a moment. Yes, we are getting things going now. We are readying up. We have 18 in here, and the others will join during sprint qualifying. We went over our driver standings. 23.5 points separate Uriah and Turbo. Uriah leads this championship. Red Bull lead the Constructors' Championship, and there is a chance we could see a different team win the Constructors compared to the drivers. McLaren are 50.5 points back. Mercedes, 73 points back. Ferrari, 88.5 points back. Into this event tonight, including the sprint, there's 103 Constructors' points available with 60 drivers' points available throughout the final 2 races of the season. We go to Japan next week, where if it's not decided this week with the drivers or Constructors, we will see it decided there. So we'll go over our previous circuit history during sprint qualifying or regular short qualifying. But in the meantime, I want to go over some of our headlines. There's not too many compared to what we saw last week, but afterwards, I'll have you give your thoughts on some of these moves we've had, Gagi. So we got Valkyrie, who has a race ban. She did not serve her qualifying ban in Miami correctly. There was a question raised in the Ferrari Academy Discord. Why was it a race ban? Well, that racked up because of the penalty points. She got a qualifying ban due to penalty points, then had the qualifying ban to serve, didn't serve it correctly. That added up to penalty points, accumulating a race ban. We do have a dry short sprint quali. We will get to that in a moment, but in the meantime, here are your headlines in terms of seats and everything else then. No more TT submissions. I know a lot of the drivers were happy to hear that one. Garrison, new driver last week, he is full-time at Red Bull next season. That is a big addition to the full-time grid. He is in Mythic's seat now, since Mythic got demoted to Alpine due to poor performances. So Garrison will finish out the season in the McLaren. With that being said, speaking of new drivers, let's see. It's Z46. He's full-time for Haas next season. Speaking of Haas, the full-time seat there originally was Alex Norris for next season. He goes to Ferrari now for next season. So one Italian team to the other, V-Carb to Ferrari. And we've got Goatley moving to Tier 2 next season. That was announced just after last week's Grand Prix. He'll be full-time in that tier with Uri, Ardell, and Turbo, so that's good to see. Spangley is full-time in Red Bull next season since that move has been made. Spangley has made a few starts, but hasn't been here as often, so he'll get a chance to show himself once again full-time. So let's get into our drivers missing, loans, and reserves. We do have a few big names missing, but not too many. In the meantime, we've got AMS Deving reserving in the Sauber. Lural Fusion is back. He raced in Spa earlier this season in the Sauber. Timbad back in the Aston again. Remember, he's full-time, made his debut last week. Zora reserving in the Williams. Maybe on loan. I'm not 100% sure there. It's Z in the Haas, as we already know. Mythic down to Alpine. We mentioned that already. And JNR, I believe this is a driver making his debut. I believe anyone can correct me if that is wrong. But we do have one returning driver that I see you've pointed out, Gagi, Noah Boy. Noah Boy ran in the Season 9 Tier 2 Texas race. That was his only other start. He is back here for Tier 3 tonight on potential loan. So that's great to see. We'll get qualifying laps going in just a moment's time. With that being said, Gagi, 10 minutes remain in the session. What headline stands out to you? Is it Goatley moving to Tier 2? Is it Garrison proving himself last week? What is it?
I think it's just kind of, because I think Tier 3 was created, give give some of those drivers a bit more confidence because tier two is was very competitive last season. So I think, sorry, 2 seasons ago in season 12. So I think it's just kind of tier three kind of opened up the opportunity to give those drivers that need a bit of a confidence boost. Like Ardell, like Invade, just kind of help them get their motivation back. So and then hopefully then they can work their way back up to tier two and then hopefully prove themselves there. So, it's just got a big chance for people like Goatley's going to V-Carb, Ardell's going to Williams tier two next season, Uri's going all the way up to the tier two Red Bull next season alongside me. So yeah, it should be it's really interesting how I like the way how the tier three drivers are gradually moving up to tier two.
And you know what that means for Tier 3 then? It makes Tier 3 a lot more competitive next season. A lot of these drivers were frustrated. Polish, Optical, just some names mentioning some of these guys are too fast for Tier 3. Well, you now have it next season to where we really don't know who will win the championship. It'll be a toss-up. You can make your predictions if you'd like, of course, but at some point we'll go over the Tier 3 lineup, whether it be this week or next week, Gaki. We have our first lap set, and we'll get to that, but just thinking of some names, I mean, we have Neski, we have Polish Hammer, Drift King I'm thinking of, Alex Norris. There's definitely a lot more names than that. Garrison, there's quite a few names that will be in contention for the title, and it won't just be one or two guys, as far as we know, running away with it. Ardell has set a lap, Tim Bad, Polish, there are just a few of the names that have crossed the line, and now has F1 Shorts, who got his first points finish last weekend. Or last week, actually. It's not a weekend yet. But I will tell you, we did mention this on Fun Facts, and I'll give a little more context to it. F1 Shorts is actually the youngest Tier 3 driver to finish in the points. He, in fact, is the first driver, I believe, in RPL born late 2011 or later to do so. So that's a wild stat I did not expect to be talking about. Leon Miner starts a lap, and a lot of the drivers in this session are using medium compound tires, Gagi. You would know more about the sprints than I would. Why are drivers using the mediums right now in sprint qualifying compared to using the softs?
I think it just gives a better advantage for the race because you want to use because obviously the sprint only grants you 8 points, whereas the race is up to 25. So I think it just gives a better opportunity to use their tires a bit more wisely. Because even if you qualify on the medium, it's not the end of the world because the sprint, even though it does give you some points, it doesn't give you anywhere near the advantage you could get if you manage to finish well in the main race.
All right, so Uri starts a lap right now, and he is doing a 17.5 in the first sector. And we'll ride on board with our championship leader. Garrison is finally here. It's good to see him. And Uri is one of 8 drivers right now on our board yet to set a lap. And with that being said, I asked George, our first and only Tier 3 champion, what are some words that you'd like to give encouragement-wise to our championship contenders, Turbo and Uri, both drivers from the same country, and actually keeping it only them two this season so far in pole. George said you won't be you won't be as good as I was. In fact, it's interesting because last week in Tier 2, excuse me, a lot of the Tier 3 drivers who are going to Tier 2 next season, and even some guys who are not, actually we're cooking up something quite well. Lennon used to be in Tier 3, and he's moved to Tier 2 since. And, well, it even shows what Uri, who contended with Lennon, showing why he's moving up to Tier 2 with that lap. 1-2 for Red Bull, 1-2-3 for the Academy right now as we stand. Mythic set a lap, I believe, as well. He's 10th fastest. And Turbo, our second place man in the championship, also out on track. Gagi, he's 23.5 points behind. I mean, costing yourself the way you did in Miami if you're Turbo is not a good look. But it's also good to know that when Uriah has had a bad race, Turbo has capitalized. Now at least see Alex Norris go 1-2-3-4 with Red Bull and V-Carb. That's a good sight for them, but not for Turbo. What does Turbo need to do in this situation tonight?
I think I wouldn't say it's like it's not do all or end all. It's I mean obviously. You would like to win this race to give you the best opportunity going to the final race, but you can't go all out. You you can't like completely risk it, because then there is the opportunity of something going wrong, and then it just can be completely over. So you have to stay calm, but then obviously you have to make those moves at some point, whether they're desperate or not.
I think the only way he is out of this title race, if he is beaten by Uri in the race, is if he doesn't do enough in the sprint. That will be the big thing for Turbo. He just completed the first sector. We'll ride on board with the McLaren driver. This team also sits second in the Constructors' Championship. And I've also printed up some certain scenarios for the Constructors with positions that they've done this season that can be crucial if we do have a tiebreaker. I don't think we would, just because we awarded half points back in Qatar when that race was shortened. But it is worth a mention. McLaren, compared to Red Bull, 2 wins, Red Bull 4 wins. Both have 2 second-place finishes, whereas McLaren don't even have a third-place finish. Red Bull have 3 of them, so that's important tonight for our Constructors' Championship. Turbo will cross the line now. How will this be compared to championship contender Uri? It's 6th fastest. He's even behind Invade as well. So, of course, short lap time around Brazil. Not a lot of time to make up, but everyone still remains close inside the top 6. Speaking of 6 places up at the front of our field, 3rd through 10th in the driver's standings, although they're out of contention to win the title, there's only 30 points separating them. So I guess no matter where you look, even if it's the championship lead or behind that or elsewhere, it's close up at the front of our field. And F1 Shorts, our youngest points finisher in Tier 3, has set a time 7th fastest. It seems like this season he's been a really great qualifier, but similar to Woda when I've seen him race as well, not as good when it comes to the results in the race.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. Sorry, I didn't even hear what you were saying. I was focusing on giving Noah Boy an invite.
You're good, don't worry. I was just saying how F1 Shorts, similar to Woda when he's raced this season, very good qualifying results, not as good results in the race. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like last week that changed for F1 Shorts.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you have to be, you can't rely on having a terrible quali only be like, oh, it's fine, I'll just make up for it in the race, because the race is a lot more unpredictable than qualifying. But then, if you're good in qualifying but then terrible in the race, it doesn't help you, because then you could easily lose positions if that's what one of your weak points is. So you have to like be level, but you have to be somewhat level with how good you are on both sides of the round, I guess.
Yeah, you definitely have to find that level ground and find out what you can do better on, which I think Uri has found out quite a bit himself. He was very inconsistent when riding it up alongside George last season in Tier 3. He had some races where he was up there. He had some races where he was not up there, or he was up there and cost himself a chance. And for Turbo's case, he only debuted the middle to the end of last season, and he got the first podium in Mexico, a really great result there, and then got the podium full-time in Australia. So we're going to find out of these two who's improved most when it comes to tonight and tomorrow, or not tonight and tomorrow, tonight and next week in Japan for the ending of the season. Zora sets a lap, and it's actually ahead of his teammate. This whole field is 1.2 seconds within our pole time of Uri. So we'll pick up the tires, and we'll also pick up our top 2 here as they start their final laps. Polish Hammer goes 3rd fastest. He disrupts the Red Bull 1, 2, 3, 4. We now have a minute left in this session. We're going to ride on board with Ardell because Uri, the pole sitter, has invalidated, so Ardell can steal this away from him, and he's up 2/10. Ardell could be looking at a first pole tonight. Although it's only sprint qualifying, he could disrupt the Sazek 1-2s that we've had go back and forth with Uri and Turbo. Ardell is up by 2/10. Turbo is starting a lap. He will get there in time, but I think the difference is Uri could still give Ardell a slipstream here to make sure it's a 1-2 no matter what.
I think Uri could get round to start another lap. I could be wrong, but I think he'll just have enough time. He has the battery for it, so I think he'll try and go again.
And Ardell's up by 6/10. I'm sorry to cut in, but this could be an amazing margin. Ardell dropped down to this tier to help stuff like this, the inconsistencies. Goatley beats him by 1,000, but will that matter? Ardell crosses the line and goes on a sprint pole by a massive margin.
And Uri pits as well, so he clearly didn't have the fuel to go again. And Devin goes up to second as well. That is a great result for the Sauber.
And fifth for Fusion. This is storybook from Sauber. 2-5 for their cars. And it's only sprint qualifying, but that's incredible. Turbo is up by 4/10, and he could start better than Uri. And there's been a collision between both Williams teammates. JNR on debut is third. Neski is seventh, by the way. We have more cars crossing the line. Timbet slots in behind Uri, but Turbo beats Uri. This is a wild qualifying session, and we still have more to go. Invade is up by 3/10. Did he back off? He did. He had trouble on his lap. This has been an insane qualifying in Sao Paulo, and I think we still have more going. F1 Shorts does not improve. Do we have anybody else going? No, we do not. Leon and Zora had a collision, both Williams teammates. That'll maybe be looked at and talked about. But we have a Sauber on the front row. We have a first-time pole sitter, technically, although it won't count for our record books, considering it's only a sprint. But that's incredible. 4 different teams inside the top 4, and a Sauber is on front row for the sprint. Holy crap.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta respect the effort from Devin and JNR, you know, to be fully up there. But then you also have to consider Uri's the only one on top 5 that didn't set a lap on the soft, so he's gonna have the advantage going into the main qualifying session. So it'll be interesting to see how that time strategy plays out.
The last time we saw an Alfa Romeo, when they were called Alfa Romeo, there's now a Sauber, but last time we saw them on the front row in RPL, you'd have to go back to RPL F1 when Cookie did it in Portugal. It's a wild, wild sight to see a Sauber back on that front row. JNR in his debut is making his name heard, being in P4. RPL Ardell is the first driver this season, although it's only a sprint, the first driver this season not named Turbo or Uri to be on pole position. Turbo and Uri down in 3rd and 5th. Very crucial for the sprint upcoming. Here's your order. Ardell and Devin on the front row. RPL versus AMS right here. Then you got Turbo, JNR, Uri around our top 5. You're right about Uri. Highest driver on the medium tires. Timbet, Goatley, Lero Fusion, and Neski and Polish around our top 10. Got Sauber with 2 cars, in fact, in the top 8. Drift King, Invade. Those are just a few of our names outside of our top 10 right there. And again, Ferrari did not have the qualifying they wanted. They got out-qualified by the worst car on the grid in the same academy, too.
Sorry. So, yeah, it's quite an interesting grid, you know, because you have the Sauber on the front row. It'll be interesting how he manages to get off the line. But, you know, Ardell will be wanted. He has been going on about how he wants to show that he can do it, and this is a great opportunity for him to show that, you know, he can be the driver that he says he is.
And it's very interesting you say that, because for Ardell's case, he's definitely wanted to do better, like you said, but also in a sense for Ardell, he's wanted to put himself in the situation. Last week he was in it, but he cost himself on penalties. He could have beat Uri. He didn't, though. And now you have a chance to do so. In the sprint, at least. It's not the main event, but you definitely don't want to get yourself too pressurized for the main event. I know we have both drivers in the comms box who do know about that. So, yeah, we do not want to see that happen. But at least we get to see it from this point of view rather than the driver's point of view. And yeah, we do not have anybody readying up just yet, so we'll have to get a message out there on when to do so. Now we're readying up for the event. What do we expect to see in the Senna S's on the start? We have a lot of people out of place due to the big shocks in qualifying. 20 seconds.
I think you're gonna have people definitely you know, lunging it down the inside as usual, but you know, you also gotta, you know, I think what I used to do is I was usually just hang around the outside and stay out of trouble. But yeah, we'll see how this goes.
We will. Remember, it's only the sprint right now here. But big points on offer for everybody, including our championship contenders. The 5 red lights come on to start the sprint, and we are away. It looks like Ardell got a better start than Devin, but Devin could still send up on the inside. We got a crash, big crash. F1 Shorts into the wall on the main straight. He had contact, and he also had contact down at turn 1 with Williams, but that is a chaotic start at the back of our field. Devin has been crucially overtaken for second, and Uri has also got up a place as well. We got side-by-side action all happening behind Uri. The RB gets put on the curb. The Ferrari gets put on the curb. It's utter chaos here in the midfield, and both Ferraris are in a sandwich here, trying to gain places, trying not to also lose places, and we have a car off. That's Garrison. He probably was one of the drivers who got damaged on the main straight kerfuffle we saw with F1 Shorts. He's down to last. He's got no front wing. He's going to have to pit. But right now, Fusion is an 8th. Devin is a 3rd, so the Saubers have maintained their good spots that they had in qualifying. But F1 Shorts has been very quick to blame Mythic for whatever happened there on lap 1, and JNR had a big moment.
Yeah, I mean, Uri on the mediums, making his way up past JNR at the start. That was very crucial if he wants to challenge for this sprint win. But Turbo doing what he needs to do, getting up to the back of Ardell for the lead. This is one of the main opportunities he's going to get to win the sprint, and then just give himself a better chance of staying in the championship fight. But Uri is only 4 tenths behind, so he better get a move on if he wants to avoid fighting his championship rival.
Fusion almost cut across there the Ferrari. There could have been major contact down to turn 4, but we were lucky to avoid that. Fusion also had made contact with Neski right there, but now we have a spot trading for P3. Devin has it. Uri wants it. Can Uri throw it up the inside here? He cannot. Devin continues to protect the place. We see the most spots gained on the opening laps. We have Leon at 3, and we have a move being made. Can Uri finally complete this move on this kick Sauber? He's almost clear of him, and he has the inside line still, Devin does, but Uri is pinching him onto the curb, and he's ahead. It's a good move there from Uri. He needed that a little bit quicker, but he's lucky to still have DRS right now. Goatley got Mythic. Mythic, maybe one of the drivers involved in the lap 1 incident. Off is Drift King. Drift King had the penalty. He has damage, but he has more things going wrong. And now contact for the lead. Was there damage? I think there was. Turbo, it looks like on the inside end plate, has damage, and he does. Turbo leads lap over Ardell. He also gets the place, but for him, doesn't really matter. You need to hold on here now. Here comes Ardell fighting back at it. Ardell has a go, and Ardell has the lead.
Turbo now looking in his rear mirrors. This is the worst driver he wants to see in the rear mirrors. It is his championship rival. This will be interesting to see how it goes out. Could Ardell help Uri? Could he hold up Turbo in the middle sector to maybe get Ardell, to maybe get Uri up to the back of McLaren? But you also have Devin, in the Sauber of full cars, looking to, maybe get on the sprint podium. But we'll have to see how this plays out, because this will get very interesting.
This would almost double their points tally if they finished where they are in 4th place right now. They have 5 points. Last week, they doubled their points tally that they had. So great stuff from the Kick Sauber team. Turbo almost falls out of DRS of our race leader, but remember, he has damage. He's just got to make sure he beats Uri here, because if he doesn't in the main race, well, it could be troubling for him in terms of staying in this championship fight or not. 9th place is lost DRS, meaning that Alex Norris will want to try and claw back up the field. There's contact down at turn 2 in the Senna S's. Fusion hangs on, but in the meantime, Neski is on the move here into turn 4. He cannot get it for now. He slots in behind and cuts in front of Invade, who remains in the last point spot. Looks like Fusion is just trying to hang on as well here in 9th place. He's out of DRS. The top 8 remain in DRS.
Timbed also has joined the back of this train, so this will be a constant DRS train until someone tries to make a move. But Turbo almost falling out of DRS to Ardell. This could be very interesting if he has lost DRS, so this is the great opportunity for Uri to overtake his championship rival.
But Turbo may have just got it back here. Here comes the detection point. Will Ardell have pulled that second gap? No, he has not. I think Turbo just remains in it, and he does. Behind that, we have Devin still pressurizing Uri. This is the interesting thing. Uri although he wants to challenge Turbo, the pressure from behind is not going away. We have Polish Hammer down the main straight making some moves on Fusion. So is Alex Norris. That's 2-1 from Polish Hammer. A good move from the American driver. Further behind, Drift King goes into the pit lane. He's going to waste a set of tires, but repairs the damage for the lead. Turbo has closed in, but has not got there. Uri gets to the rear of Turbo and just gives him a little tap right there from behind.
Yeah, Polish getting hooked by Goatley in the early laps. That's why Goatley lost a few positions. They both went onto the grass in sector 2, but I think Polish has made a good recovery so far. You know, he's got the V-carb of Alex Norris splitting him and his teammates, so it'll be very interesting to how the Ferraris, you know, because they shouldn't really be in this position in the top car, but so we'll have to see how they manage to work their way back up to the front potentially.
Goatley gets a 3-second penalty for track limits. That's our third different penalty on our board. It's only lap 5 of the sprint. We're about to be halfway, and I feel like if anyone is in a VC with Uri, they got to be telling him Turbo does not have DRS. Turbo also has damage, so that will be affecting this train. You got to get by him. 3 wide in the back. It's Z's retired on track. Now, down the inside, Uri goes. Will he complete the move? Yes, he does. Uri is up to second to make it a Red Bull 1-2, and there's contact in the back. That's the Alpine getting flung around there of JNR, but in the meantime, Devin is now pressurizing Turbo, so Turbo now is being affected by the damage on his car. Around the outside, Devin got a little argy-bargy. That allows Timbed to go through. Now, give the advantage to Uri, who runs in second place. It's Z is out of the race. That is our first and only retirement of the Grand Prix, but we will figure out what happened there eventually. And Goatley looks like he has some drivers that will be frustrated with him because It's Z is the one who felt like he's been affected by him out of the race.
I think it was Goatley that made contact with the Haas coming out of the final proper corner. I have to see a replay of what happened there because it looked quite a big impact.
He did say it was him.
As you know, Uri now back on on the tail of his teammate. Will he be able to make the move going to turn 1, or will he hold back on the DRS straight? No, will hold back and try and make the move going into turn 4.
Feels like when Ardell is in this situation at Red Bull, he seems to always help his championship rival. He did it with JTK in Tier 2 last season. He's done it a few times with Uri so far this season, most notably Zandvoort, but Ardell just lets him go and feels like it's not really his fight with Uri, the championship contender. Mythic and Garrison also trade spots. This is reminiscent of Miami with these two. Remember, it's not for a point spot, similar to Miami as well. JNR in 8th place picks up a penalty, so that gives Alex Norris the last point spot when we apply the penalties. But I do think Mythic does have damage on the end plate. He does, yeah. So some of the drivers are being affected here from damage, and I think that's something Invade has to be aware of here. Hopefully Uri was aware of it when he was behind Turbo. Therefore, he's not thinking it's something Turbo's doing on purpose here, because we have seen drivers back up the field or back up contenders, whether it be from the second driver of the teammate there who's fighting in the championship fight. So hopefully Uri knows it, or did know it, and hopefully Invade knows it. A trade in places for third, and maybe a trade in places again for the lead. Ardell is back out in front. Invade is through for 5th as well.
No team orders here, it looks like. Ardell seemingly giving up the position, but now he's come back at his teammate on the following lap. But Uri's going to go back at his teammate going into turn 4, and he'll get the lead back again.
We have a move, we have a move, we have a little bit of argy-barginess down to turn 4. Invade hangs on to the place over Turbo. Neski is there. Alex Norris isn't far as well from fighting with these guys. It's very crucial Turbo does not lose any more places here for this championship fight. Heading into tonight, the gap was 23.5 points. If Uri wins this race and Turbo finishes 6th, that's a 5-point deficit, meaning it's 28.5 points. If for some reason both of them go scoreless in the race, that does mean Uri can win the championship tonight. Very, very crucial stuff there. And you're right about Ardell. No team orders here. But he's just got to be careful about how he fights this. You can't allow Timbed or Devin to get in this fight as well, because they will take advantage. And now at the front of our field, Ardell is closing, reeling the teammate in, but not close enough to make the move. And Neski goes around the outside, but gets put on the grass and slides for good measure. He stays straight, but that could have been catastrophic for the Merc.
Ardell seemingly not close enough to make a move back on his teammate, but better than Devin still staying in there. But Invader's got up to his train as well. Could he make an impact in the Ferrari? But he's got his academy teammate ahead of him. Will he let him by? I'm guessing he will, but and also Alex Norris has caught up to the back of the train between Neski and Turbo, who is seemingly really struggling. This is not what he needed at all if he wanted to win this championship.
Although Ferrari can do better with a bigger result. Oh, we got trouble. That is Noah Boy in his return into the turn 2 barrier. It's not what he would have wanted for tonight's event. I was just going to say with Ferrari's case with Invade, I mean, you can have Devin pull over and, give you the spot, but the thing is, Sauber is last in the Constructors. They can be Alpine if they get a good result like this, so I'm sure Invade will be very mindful of that. Turbo has some guys behind who want to overtake him. First is Neski, then it's Alex Norris. Neski's through, Alex Norris is not through just yet. Remember, this is for the last point spot with Alex Norris and Polish Hammer. It could be the last point spot for Turbo in just a moment's time. Here comes Alex Norris, who's right behind in the slipstream. Is he close? Turbo's closer than Neski now. So that protects him from being overtaken, and I think that's what he's going to need here in the closing stages. The top 5 remain in DRS, but 6 to 9 have their little DRS train. Here comes Alex Norris throwing one up the inside. He can do this because Turbo gets put out wide from the damage, and Alex Norris is through. Is he clear? No, not yet. Alex Norris ahead. Whoa! Polish Hammer went up the inside and ran in the back of the RB, misjudging that one. That's damage to the Ferrari, but now Turbo's outside the points.
Yeah, I think the softs are just in general falling off. All of the top 8 are on the medium, so I think there's a clear tire advantage now. But Turbo falling out of the points is definitely it's going to be detrimental.
Big kerfuffle to turn 1. Yeah, Invade has damage.
He could have made contact with his teammate in the kick Sauber. I could be wrong, but Timbe is making a move on Ardell for second.
They fell back from the DRS train, so that's why Timbet has went for it and not really cared about what could or should happen here come the final lap, because this is all for second on back and some big points for Timbet and only a second start. We've had the Kicksauber still trying to fight this here. He's ahead of Invade still. Invade, it looked like he just misjudged the braking down to turn 1, and Polish Hammer, who runs in the last point spot, does now have a penalty. That's 5 drivers in 11 laps here. But that could have been a mix-up of those guys maybe trying or not trying to overtake under the yellow flags. Remember, Noah Boy was having trouble there down at turn 2, still couldn't get back going, and that's why maybe those drivers could have been affected. They didn't want to overtake and get penalized. In the meantime, Ardell is using all of his battery left to try and gain this place back that he once had. Will Devin throw one up the inside? He will not. In the meantime, Turbo may be still getting a point here due to Polish's penalty.
I think something's happened to Zora on the main straight. Yeah, it's one around the exit. But I think Ardell could be making a move, or just stick behind, try and make a move on the last straight potentially. But yeah, these 4, including Invade, have all been really close these last few laps, fighting out for that second place. But we'll see what happens running up to the line.
Come down to the main straight, you're right. And here is Alex Norris fighting it out with Neski. In fact, if these two crash, give another point spot to Turbo. This could be very, very crucial, and they are leaning against each other. A little bit of contact. We should be okay. Neski with an up and under, though, down at the inside. Here he goes. They're going to be side by side. We're going to go to our battle for second place because this is close. We're going to give this right to the line here. Uri, big points in his favor. He'll win the sprint, and he'll take advantage once again at the top of our table. And a fight to the line. It's a drag race. It's going to be 3 wide. It's Ardell in second, and Devin just misses out for third in the Kicksauber. That's a major point spot. Neski held on for 6th, Invade got 5th, and Turbo got our last point spot. So that means heading into the main race, it's 7 points in Uri's favor, and another drag race, neck and neck. Fusion gets Garrison. That's not a point spot, but that's still a great fight.
Yeah, very close, 23 milliseconds separating Kicksauber from sort of podium, even though it's only the sprint. That is still an amazing result for the team. technically last in the performance index.
Well, our top 8 got a McLaren up there, we got an RB up there, a Mercedes and Ferrari, a Sauber and Aston, and 2 Red Bulls who finished 1-2. Uriah ahead of Ardell. What an amazing sprint. And Turbo not happy with Ardell, it looks like. Well, whatever happened on that main straight on lap 2, lap 3, heading into turn 1, caused Turbo to pick up damage on that front end plate, and that could have costed him, maybe at some point you could argue, if the race does go his way. And same thing with Japan next week, maybe the championship. So, here are your points from the sprint as we go to short qualifying. Invade went from 12th to 5th. That's a really good result from Ferrari, who needed to gain some places and needed to gain some points in their fight with Mercedes. Kick Sauber, they're going to double their points tally again for the second week in a row. Timbed gets his best result in RPL. Ardell ties his, maybe gets his best, in fact. I believe he's not finished second once. He's finished third like 3 times. And we only lost one from the event. It's Z. Noah Boy went a lap down. F1 Shorts and Drift King, they had quite a bit of trouble. Hopefully they can regain that ahead of the main race. But as we look at our points, we'll make sure to give you a points tally ahead of the main race. But our championship lead with Uriah and Turbo means Uriah can clinch this tonight. 30.5 is the gap, if I'm correct, there at the front of our table. And it is raining for short qualifying.
Yeah, I think this will definitely throw some drivers off. You know, how this implicate the championship. You know, you got to look back to a few races ago where the Red Bulls, both Red Bulls, were put way down the order in the midfield and had to try and work their way back due to the interchangeable conditions. So will that be a majorly deciding factor? Who knows? But yeah, no one's coming out yet. Maybe just waiting for the rain to die down a bit. No, one of the Red Bulls is coming out. That looks like to be Ardell. Yes, it is on the Inters.
We've not seen a lot of wet running here in Tier 3 this season, I feel like. I do remember we've had a few qualifying sessions that did have that happen, but we've not really had many or any really wet races that often in Tier 3 this season. Ardell, you did mention coming out on track. I've got to wonder, will he keep that second place finish from the sprint in the stewards room after the contact on the main straight with Turbo? That could have definitely costed him for sure. Well, this is the qualifying session that does count toward the record books in terms of a pole position or not. We had our first non-Turbo Uri pole in sprint qualifying. Will that be repeated this time? And can Uri get in a final lap again? That's going to be the big question. Last week he had that happen, I'm pretty sure, where he didn't get in a final lap in Miami. He still kept himself in pole, but he didn't do that in the sprint, though.
Yeah, I think this would be interesting for Uri. You know, will he be able to keep that momentum going into main qual? I don't know how much wet practice he's done, but I think we can all trust him to do a good lapping the main quali. But his teammate Ardell is about to be the first one to go on the flying lap.
And I'll let you take away with this because, well, you've raced Brazil more recently than I have. You did the Tier 1 race here, and you also did the Tier 2 finale here as well, which was in the wet, so you do have a bit of experience in these conditions. We went to the Senna S's, which is very easy to invalidate from, but now we go to the Retta Rapasta, run to turn 4, all those famous corners. Take it away, Gagi.
Yeah, a bit of wheel spin going through the SOS. It's a 19.4 for the first sector to get it nicely turned in. Don't invalidate on the exit, he just avoided that. Keep a tight line coming out, which he hasn't done, but I don't think it matters, to be honest, much. Down to 5th gear, bit of oversteer on the entry, up the hill, and then quick braking into the turn, I don't know, heading to the second sector, working away around these medium speed corners, keeping the car nice and straight, not getting too much oversteer on the exit, getting the car nicely turned in, planting it on the power. As we head into sector 3, this exit is crucial. We don't want to get any oversteer because that could ruin your run up to the line. It looks like a bit of oversteer. He looks like he's got a decent exit as he will come up to the line. So yeah, I think this has been a decent lap from Ardell. Not one that I think he will be amazingly proud of, but it'll be a 15-0 to set us off.
And that is the benchmark. We do have more crossing behind. I believe our next one will be Garrison, if he hasn't invalidated, and I think he did, so that may be why we did not see him on the board. It's Z is second fastest. It's his second start, and it's second on the boards right now until that is taken away in just a few moments' time. We do have some guys actually starting laps, so that's why that has been a little bit of a wait for that to be taken away. Goatley is our third driver to complete a lap on our boards. We have Turbo out on track. We have Leon Miner actually going for a trip to the grass down there at the second to last braking zone. You know, it is a tricky track at times, especially with the rear locking. You clip the grass into turn one like you saw the Merc do. You can go drifting, and Leon has gone drifting there down at the last braking zone right in the is that Glock corner, that I'll call it. So yeah, it's the last braking zone, but it's not the last turn because you have the three turns in the main straight, excuse me. We do have Uri out on track as well, I believe. No, we don't. He's in the pits, excuse me. I was thinking of someone else there. We have Lero Fusion crossing the line. He got a points spot, I think. No, he didn't. He was just the first one outside the points in the sprint. He's fifth fastest. He had a good qualifying in sprint quality, excuse me. And we have Noah Boy on the softs right now in the pits. Do we think the session might dry up? I mean, I don't know what it looks like. I'd have to ask one of our drivers in Twitch chat if they could tell us, but without knowing, Goggy, do we think some of these drivers like Uri are waiting for it to dry up a bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not. I mean, it's definitely not a disadvantage to go out. When you know that the track's gonna get dry, because if you do mess up if you do mess up your laps on the dry conditions, it could really screw you over the race. But you know, Uri, our championship leader, still staying in the pits. As well as Turbo, who hasn't set a lap yet, but he is on one now. That looked much better than Ardell as he got the car nicely turned in without much oversteer. He didn't take as much curb as he would have liked, I reckon. Less oversteer than in the Red Bull, which is a typically more oversteery car. Getting it nicely turned as we head up to the final proper corner. It will be a 57.2, which I think looks to be quite fast. If a good exit, or we got that is a lot of wheel spin. I don't think he would have wanted that at all, but let's see what he can do. He's put it into hot lap mode, yep, he's putting on the overtake now. 14.9 he has to beat, and he goes to the top with a 14.7. That's a good lap from Turbo. What he needed.
Is the track not as wet anymore, I gotta wonder, because he had quite a bit of mistakes on that lap, Turbo did, when he went pole position. So, I mean, you do want to have some slides in some of the corners to help yourself on this game in the wet conditions, but you do not want to have tank slappers like he had. That was not good at all. It's Alpine / McLaren Academy 1-2. JNR in his debut is second right now. Invade is third. Invade has never had a pole position in RPL, but he has had 4 front row starts so far this game cycle. Leon Miner's on track. Zora, his teammate, set a lap. That's just ahead of him. Polish Hammer's back out there. He's on the inners, and I think some drivers are thinking it's almost ready for soft tires. It does look like the track is not as wet as it once was about 3, 4, 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think that's what Uri and Noah, and it's Z who's I think is the first one on the soft tires. It still looks to be raining, so I don't think it is the time for dries yet. But he could go very slowly on the out lap and then go to the top. He could be the first one to set a lap on the dries, whether that's good or not.
JTK
yeah,
did say in the chat it will dry up. I think he's engineering Noah Boy, if I had to guess. F1 Short says, I can tell you it's inner, but I think it can be softs at the very end of qualifying. So we do have our answer. Invade goes fastest. The track is evolving. It has stopped raining. DRS is enabled. Polish Hammer's third. Alex Norris is fourth. So we have, of the Italian teams, 3 of them inside the top 4.
F1 Shorts has gone back out on the inters, so he clearly doesn't think it's that time yet. But it looks to be, as you said, DRS is enabled now, so I think it is kind of the crossover period, as both Ferraris appear to have gotten out. Yeah, they're both out on track on the softs. No, they're both in the inters actually. I think Invade's on an in lap. Yeah.
It's Z said he thinks whatever happened in his incident with Goatley, it's going to get him a penalty, so we'll see what happens there later on. F1 Short said in his incident with Mythic, it was actually Garrison, not Mythic, so his apologies on that. And Lennon says that Uriah is the champion already. That's not the truth necessarily mathematically. I have figured this out. 30.5 is the gap. We have 52 points available after, well, actually heading into the race, really. So, yeah, oh, okay, most likely. Yeah, that's fair. The thing I will tell you, though, is Turbo does need to beat Uriah by more than 4.5 points to stay in this race for the championship. I can tell you, based on the sprint, Ferrari is now officially out of contention there for the Constructors' Championship. We still have McLaren and Mercedes eligible, but that can also be clinched here tonight as well in the event. It's Z, his second start. It's also his second chance at qualifying to redeem himself maybe after last time. Across line he'll come. He'll go 6th fastest for Haas, knocking one Haas out of the top 10, putting his Haas into the top 10. We do have a lot of guys on the track on outlaps for soft tires, and we have a collision. Uriah and Zora. Uriah's got no front wing. Zora came out worse. He's got the penalty.
I don't know what happened there, but it just seems they collided on the exit.
That's the second incident with Zora too.
I don't know what happened.
Minor. Yeah, I don't know either, but it clearly happened down at the last braking zone, and trying to figure out something there. I don't know if any other drivers of those two, or even Leon, when he had the incident, are streaming. If they are, I would definitely like to see what happened, but it's very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, I think I don't think it should affect his qualifying too much. He's back in the garage now, so he'll be able to get back on track soon enough. But yeah, it is a Ferrari 1-3 at the moment. Even though they're out of championship contention, they would want a good result off the season. I think it has stopped raining. I could be wrong, but
it has stopped raining. DRS is enabled. Uriah is wondering why ghosting is off. He said, I just hit a car standing sideways. Let me just check the settings just to make sure what we have for ghosting. I don't know. I don't really know the settings as well as anybody.
I did go to the document and check. I did double check everything was correct, so I don't think I did it wrong.
Yeah. I mean, we see it on our screen right now. Anyone can tell me. I'll tell you, I don't set up lobbies for a reason. I also don't set up lobbies because I'm from the other side of the world, I guess. But in the meantime, Timbed does go fastest. Garrison got a lap in as well. So right now, we're gonna see the top spots for the next. Oh, we just had a car lag out. We're gonna see the top spots trade here quite a bit for the next 3 to 5 minutes, quite heavily, just because of what the track evolution and track conditions were like. But yeah, Zora says you should have looked with whatever happened there. So I don't know what going on there, but we'll figure that out eventually. And JNR will need an invite back to the lobby. I'll have you set that up, Goggy. But in the meantime, AMS Devon goes fastest for Kick Sauber.
Yeah, he's looked very strong throughout the whole weekend, but I think he's just recently announced he's going to V-Carb for next season to, work his way up the grid. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs in a better car.
Timbed goes fastest. Noah Boy, his teammate, will watch. Noah Boy's only other start was in Texas, in Tier 2 that one time. Yeah, give JNR an invite, Gagi. But yeah, in the meantime, Zora said in the Twitch chat, Uriah just hit me on the side. That's what happened there, and just DKF1 fan rooting on Noah Boy. We're talking in Twitch chat about McLaren cooking. Yeah, I mean, they look a lot better, I would say, compared to the first qualifying session we had in this qualifying session. Still a long way to go. Still different conditions, of course. Ardell went fastest. Then that got taken over quite quickly by Invade, who kind of set himself up there with devil numbers. F1 Shorts goes third fastest as well in the meantime. And Noah Boy will cross the line, and he will be 8th fastest. I think for him, Noah Boy, I spoke with him yesterday before returning to RPL, which he made a start once last game on 14 months ago. And I think the thing for him is you're not going to have, he realized it too, you're not going to have a lot of pace, but you want to keep yourself out of trouble. And if you do, you could end up with a good result, especially with how some of these tier 3 races do end up going. Polish Hammer slots in behind Invade. Neski goes on a provisional pole. Mythic is back out on track. And Uriah's still not come out of the pit lane with whatever happened there. So our championship leader could be facing some trouble. Turbo's down in 13th. He'll get a lap in. The Sauber of Fusion will go fastest. You good? Alex Norris.
Yeah, I'm just trying to sort out JNR's invite.
Mythic is pulling aside for the Williams there, just letting him go. I think just wanting a lot of track space or something here before he starts his lap. JNR is trying to rejoin the session. I'm gonna see if I had him. Oh, yeah, he's
I just sent him an invite.
Yeah, I was gonna check if I had him. We have 3.5 minutes remaining. Goatly invalidated the lap back to the pit lane. I think we have a few drivers coming back to the pit lane. Leon Miner is invalidating a lap there. Mythic is starting one. We'll do one last final flying lap that we'll cover. I'll cover Mythic here. And of course, as we know, if he invalidates, we'll give it up here. 3.5 minutes remaining, so we do have time for drivers to get back out on track and do what they need to do. Mythic is going down to turn 1. You want to get to the right side here and arc this corner. You don't want to touch the grass. You can slip from it a lot more than previous games. But now, Senna S, you don't want to keep it on the curb too much. You can invalidate. We've seen drivers have that happen. Now in the run to turn 4, we have a Williams coming out. That Williams has to get out of the way. He does. Turn 4, 17.6. Now get the rotation out of the corner that you need. Get on the power just as you need. Turn 5 there. It's a double left. We've seen trouble happen there in the past in RPL, most notably Tier 2. But now 6, 7 for Mythic. This is a very, very tricky spot. We've seen a lot of drivers get out of control in that area. Luckily, Mythic kept it on his toes. Now, more drivers are going out on track. Crucially, they need to be out on track. Therefore, they can get 2 laps in. Most notably, I look at Uriah and Drift King down there. But Mythic will complete the sector. What's this looking like from the Alpine? 51.9. One more braking zone to go. Goes a little wide. A little deep there on entry. Should be okay. He will have another go at this if he wants. Mythic, he needs to have the fuel to do that, though. And one more corner to the line. Using all the battery. Below 10%. Mythic will go fastest. And we will see it kind of be like a lottery there at the front of our field with the last 2.5 minutes. It could come down to the last car really across the line to get the best lap. Noah Boy is currently going off track and trying to get out of the way. Now he's just looping it around. I don't know what he's doing, but it does look like at first he was trying to get out of the way. Now I don't know what's going on. Oh, he's disqualifying himself. He wants to start at the very tail end of the field. Yep, I see. Uriah is still not back out on track. Neither is Turbo. Interesting. Now Uriah is back out. Turbo's coming back out, I believe. Yes, he is. So they've left it to the last minute here. Uriah has to pull out of the way. He does. And we see the Aston there get out of the way too. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, Mythic in the Alpine is currently on pole. You have a top 4 of an Alpine, 2 V-Carbs, and a Sauber. So this wet quali definitely throws up some surprises sometimes. As you know, Uri needing a good result in the championship hasn't set a lap yet, so he'll need to make this one count. This will be his only chance to set a lap. So he better not invalidate, otherwise that could be a bad thing. As Garrison goes to the top in the McLaren.
We'll focus on Uri and Turbo in just a few moments' time, but Titan made a good point. Noah Boy joined late during qualifying and was not on the lineups correctly, so that is why he had to disqualify himself from qualifying, or else he could have been disqualified from the event, which has happened before to a lot of people. So Uri starts his final flying lap. Turbo does the same. Luckily for Turbo, he has a lap on our boards. Uri may need to come from the back if he doesn't get one in. F1 Schwartz is 4th. It's Zia's 3rd, and Uri, the championship leader, is going to start in the back row because he has invalidated this lap. Turbo is going purple in the first sector, going fastest. This is super crucial here to watch in our final parts of qualifying. JNR goes provisional pole. Next is the Ferrari that is Polish Hammer going to pole. Next is the Sauber. Devin takes it over. We're going to have a lot of changes at the top of our board in the next minute as the checker flag waves. But what we do know is Uri will be having to do a Lewis Hamilton from 2021, starting last pretty much. Zora is 10th. That's a good effort from him. Next, we're going to have the Mercs. Drift King with his teammate. Both are coming up to the line. Drift King crosses, though. The other one went to the pits. Drift King is 6th. It's Z gets the checker flag, and we now got Turbo going pole. But can anyone change that? Fusion, 2nd for Sauber. We have more cars crossing. Ardell and Alex Norris. Alex Norris is on pole. Can anyone disrupt that? Ardell does. Ardell, pole in the sprint, pole in the main race, and does he keep it? Yes, for now he does. Polish Hammer is still going. I think he had another go at this. And we're going to see more cross. Goatley does some goated things and goes pole. This is incredible. Look at the RBs and the Red Bull under a 10th there at the front. This is storybook. It's RB, Red Bull, RB, just like last week with this academy up in the top 3. And it's his first pole position. Goatley takes pole in Brazil. And it is the first in the main races, non-turbo or Uri, pole position. Turbo's in 4th, Uri's down in 10th, or sorry, 19th. That is big.
What an ending to that qualifying. You know, people, Uri messing up that final quali run with his championship rival in 4th, but the other crucial thing is the 3 people he has to pass are all academy teammates. I'm guessing the academy teammates will not let him by without a fight, so it'll be very interesting. But behind that you have the 2 Saubers, 5th and 6th. What's the result for them?
It's not illegal that someone gave Turbo a tow, F1 Shorts. I just want to clarify that with you. It is not illegal. It is not. If it was illegal, we would have had ghosting off and then restarted the session. But in the meantime, Goatley is on pole for the first time, and he had been flirting with this kind of stuff the last few weeks. He is P1. Ardell is 2nd for Red Bull, just missing out on a first pole. Alex Norris 3rd. It's a Red Bull Academy 1, 2, 3. Turbo is 4th. Both kick Saubers are in the top 10 again. Got Polish up there. Garrison rounds out our top 10. JNR top 10 is debut, but some big names back there. You got a Mercedes Drift King, a Mercedes Aneski, Invade is back there, and crucially Uri is back there. Interestingly enough, Zora has a 5 place, so that may put Uri up a place. I'm not too sure, but Uri is going to have to do exactly what he did in Monza, but avoid a penalty, of course, this time like he did have after that race. He will have to claw his way through the field. And F1 Shorts, yeah, Academy teammates, they can give tows, and I'm sure that did help Turbo not start any worse than he did. I'm sure he would have loved to be on pole position, but it was not meant to be here in Sao Paulo. A dry race, just overcast for the whole event, though, so let the storm begin, as they will say, I guess. Less than 30 seconds remaining until we get to get going here, until lights out. Gagi, what do we expect to happen in the S's and lap 1 as a whole? We do have the field out of place, but it's out of place in a different way. We have the Red Bull Academy right in front of Turbo, and gonna make some noise for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be the scenario is very interesting.
Oh, what happened there? Gagi cut out. Well, I'll cut in for him since we're about to get going for the race. We have 10 seconds. The Sen S, we usually see a lot of trouble, and we've seen trouble off the line here before. Gotta make sure to avoid that trouble in order not to have a lap 1 safety car. Here we go for the lights. Here come the lights for the penultimate time in Season 2, Tier 3. The 5 red lights are on here in Sao Paulo. And lights out, away we go. It looks like the Red Bull got a decent start there. That's Ardell on the run to turn 1. He'll take over for the lead of the race. Devin side by side with Turbo. Turbo's already lost a place there. They're bouncing off one another. Turbo's got to be very careful here. He needs points, but he cannot afford to lose places or get a bit of damage. Uri has already clawed up himself to 16th. That's crucial. And down the order we go. We have a collision somewhere. That is Zora and Noah Boy losing places down there. Maybe having a bit of lag, because I didn't see those cars go off. Nonetheless, Drift King is up a place. We have Timbed flirting with Polish Hammer down at the corner. Now we have Mythic going a bit wide with Garrison. Lots of lap 1 movement here from the whole entire field. But Uri is still down in 16th. He was up to 14th for a moment. And we have damage. We have damage to one of the cars up in front. I can't tell who that is. Who picked up damage there in Sector 2? Whoever it is going to cost him. But that is not good. Ardell leads lap 1. 6 spots lost for Fusion. DRS enabled, of course. Uri, here he comes. Ahead of F1 Shorts. Next target, Invade. He needs to work with Invade through this whole field. He cannot afford to lose time, and the Leon Miner does have damage there, trying to have a scrap there with F1 Shorts now. I'm not sure where Gagi went. I cannot hear him, whatever happened there, but the top 19 still remain in DRS. It's Noah Boy, the one who's out of DRS right now at this current time. I'm sure he's just trying to learn and find out things here. He's just, you know, came back onto the F1 games for the first time in quite a bit. It's Z and Leon are now I was going to say battling it out, but I can say mining it out. That was not worth it.
Sorry, my controller cut out again.
And Zora collide. The Williams has been spun round there, and that's the second time those teammates have collided. We got Fusion and Drift King duking it out down there at the last braking zone. Drift King is ahead. Welcome back, Gagi.
Yeah, I think, yeah, Uri getting damaged was certainly not what he needed.
Oh.
There's a massive kerfuffle going up the hill at the start of the second sector, and then he picked up some damage. The train effect behind, he picked up damage on the right end plate, so it's going to be harder for him to work his way through.
Yeah, you got that right. There's a lot of drivers just kind of doing the cha-cha slide here down to turn 4, trying to prevent some slipstream from happening. I think it's around the Drift King area here in 11th where that is going on. Fusion is in a Mercedes sandwich, but yeah, regardless of what the situation is with Uri and Turbo, I just think Uri does need to nurse it home with the damage. Turbo had the damage in the sprint. Now Uri has it in the main race. And here is Invade racing it out with Nesky. A nice little scrap here for 13th place. Invade has the inside line. Uri follows through. Will it work out here for him? Right onto the curb, using that to his advantage. He'll now pinch the Mercedes driver like he did earlier in the sprint. And it works out again there.
Yeah, I think Goatley is going to have a look on the Ardell and the Red Bull. I think he's gonna. Oh, is it gonna stick behind? Yes, he's not gonna be desperate. I don't think he could go for a move into turn 4, but I think he'll just stick behind the faster academy car.
Drift King takes the place there for 10th. Gets the upper edge there. Invade still needs to try and find his way through, and Uri will need to follow. Everyone is staying single file here in this front of the field, except for Polish Hammer, who had to go there on the Sauber, and he does make that stick. JNR retook the place with the Mercedes of Drift King, and Drift King went way off there in the process trying to gather it up. He comes out in front of Uri, but Uri has got more damage!
Oh, that is not what he needed at all. Same corner as well. I think it could have been the same car. I think I don't know what's happened with him in this main race, but he's just not. He's on the soft tyres as well, but that's his only saving. He could go into the hards to the end, but
yeah,
that is just so unfortunate for him, as his championship rival is in the main train. He has a chance in his main race, as he could be looking for a move on Alex Norris for the podium. He's going to try and go around the outside. Will Alex Norris fight it? Has he got the move done? No, it's side by side going to turn 2.
Oh.
And it's forced on the curb and then making contact, but I think Turbo could finish off the move. Still side by side. I think Alex Norris has his nose ahead going into turn 4. Yeah, he's just going to keep 3rd place for now.
That's some great fighting right there. Really on the edge between those guys. There was a lot happening in the meantime for 10th. further on back as well too. There, whatever was going on there. Oh, F when Shorts gets out of the grass has a big moment there, but yeah, it was really for 10th there, and that train fusion and behind all fighting it out. Invade, Drift King, they were in that fight. J&R lost quite a bit of ground there. It's just all kicking off, and I really hope Uri doesn't have it go out this way to where he loses a championship based on whatever has happened today. But I also hope Turbo can also fight through this Red Bull gaggle as well and give us some entertainment on our hands too. Maybe it gets decided next week, maybe it gets decided tonight, but what I do know is that if it does get decided tonight, a lot's going to have to happen negatively for Turbo, and Uri is really going to have to claw his way through it. Mythic and Garrison, big squeeze there down at turn 1. They trade places, but there was a lot of contact in the process. Invade does regain the place for 10th. And for our lead, Goatley just sticks in behind here on Ardell. Alex Norris, by the way, you spoke of him, Gagi, moments ago. He has actually never had a podium. He's had a few P4 finishes, and he finished really well here in the Tier 2 race in Brazil last season.
Yeah, I think he's always been up there in that V car. He's done a really good job, but obviously he's moving to Ferrari for next season, so now then he'll be in a real top car. So to see what he can do. But it's a V car.
Tinbet is damaged, and he almost forces the McLaren in the wall. Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, I mean he's shown what he can do. Oh, Garrison has gone down inside of Tinbet now with damage. But I don't think about Alex, he's shown what he can do in the V car, more be able to do in the Ferrari. I think he could have a decent shot for the championship if he's good enough. But Goatley, meanwhile, his teammate is going for the move on Ardell, and that is a V car leading the race.
How about that? Tinbet into the pits. He speeds for good measure. So he'll have to repair the wing and have a 10-second alongside his name. The top 5 are in this fight for the win, for the lead. Goatley got it back from Ardell there. And further behind, Garrison, I don't think he's done fighting with Mythic, but he'll live another day there. And F1 Shorts ahead of Uri there. I think Uri needs to get in the pit lane and go hards the rest of this way. He's going to lose more time if he doesn't do that. He has had damage on both sides of the car. He cannot afford to lose as much time as he's been losing. You got to undercut Turbo here, or even your other guys you're near for points in some way to have a chance to finish out the day. Because Turbo could either win this race or be in 5th based on what this train does, but even then, that's not enough to gain so many points to Uri if he finishes in the points. And big moment there.
Yeah, I was just watching Alex Norris. I think he could just stick in his train, but I think Ardell is gonna have a look on his teammate in the V car. He's gonna go back for the lead of the race. No, he's just gonna stick behind. As Invade's making a double move on the Alpine and the McLaren. That is a big, he gets hit by the Alpine. That was a voice crack.
A lot of touching, and it's the Academy teammates who end off worse right there. Mythic has been shoved out wide. In the meantime, Goatley just hangs on for our lead of the race, and Ardell went wide. Here comes Alex Norris. He wants to put the pressure on his teammate. He doesn't want to get caught up into the trenches of Turbo right here for 3rd, and it just doesn't happen. Turbo will stay behind, and of course, Polish Hammer is there for good measure. J&R locks the rears, and he hits his teammate. That's damage to the Merc. That's Neski. Front wing flying. End plate flying.
I think, yeah, there's been some crazy moves in the last few laps. I think this race hasn't settled down at all, as Alex Norris is going to be right. He's using overtake. Is he going to try and make it a V-Carb 1-2, or will Ardell try and get it back at Goatley to claim back the lead of this race? He's using overtake as well. Is he going to go for the move into turn 1? Yes, he's side by side. He's going down the inside into turn 1. Will he be able to hold it? Yes, he will. But then Goatley will have the DOS going to turn 4. Will he be able to fight back?
Ardell boosted quite a bit to retake the lead of the race. Invade got Devon. J&R and Mythic are swapping places, and Goatley is going to stay behind the teammate. That's a smart move. You don't want to really fight this into the corner like that. It could get very treacherous. It could get very crazy. It's getting very crazy for 10th place right now. Mythic gets shoved out wide. Neski goes out wide as well. There is so much happening here in this midfield. And it's not even halfway. It's not even close. We're only a 4th of the way in.
Yeah, Zora's picks up a time penalty down in 16th, but You're right. Now down in last place. Will he be able to take these cars to the end? We'll have to find out. But this is certainly not what he was hoping for.
And right now, McLaren are scoring 16 points with Red Bull scoring a total of 25. That's not enough to win the Constructors' Championship tonight. But it would put Merc out of contention for our lead. We got a lot of movement. We got a lot of movement for third as well. Goatley is out in front. Ardell went from first to fourth. Turbo wants to get in on this fight, and he is. It's an RB1-2, but Turbo takes third away from Ardell. Garrison is ahead of Devin, and we go down now to turn 4, where we're still not done. Ardell gets third back from Turbo. Maybe not yet. Turbo hangs it on the outside, gets squeezed under the curb, and has to concede the place, and he does. Wow.
Peacock 1-2 is just absolutely mental when I think of it, and we have someone who's gone off at the back in the first second.
Dora.
I think that was one of the Williams, but yeah, as I was saying, VCAR 1-2, that both the cars have just done an absolutely amazing job. You know, you have the faster car down in third place. I don't think he expects his academy teammates to fight back at him in their slower cars, but will the V-Cubs now hold position, or will they fight out between themselves?
Big jump by Neski as he got shoved out wide there by Mythic. I was just about to give a lot of credit to these guys in the midfield having a great 2x2 incredible fight, but that got really hectic there with Mythic and the car he went alongside. Turbo is fighting this into turn 1, but he concedes the place. Garrison concedes the place to Fusion. The Kicksabbers are doing an immense job up here at the front of our field, and Mythic picks off another one. Whoa, and he gets turned! Mythic gets turned by the Haas there.
And then Drift King picks up a bit of damage, I think, as well. I think I just saw Carbon Fiber go flying up into the air. I don't know who it was for, but I think it was, yeah, it was Drift King in the Mercedes. Making contact. There's more contact between F1 and Shorts now. It's just all going mental. This is crazy.
With the fights, F1 Schwartz is in. He's about to make it a short end of his race right here because he's not in the place he should be in here in this midfield. I mean, the Mercs just got shoved out wide there. I don't remember if it was Neski or Drift King who went for a nice trip to the grass going airborne there, but that was a big moment Mythic had with the Mercedes there. I mean, he used to be a part of that academy. He's got to be careful here.
Yeah, Turbo, as Ardell's is the first one of the fun ones to come in. For the hard tires, I would presume.
Very big. That puts Turbo in third, by the way. And I don't think Mythic's done with the Merc Academy. Here we go down the main straight. 5-car fight. 2 Haas drivers, 2 Merc drivers, and Mythic peels off to the pits. For our lead.
The leaders.
Yep. Alex Norris. Out in front with a little wiggle for good measure. Whoa! Whoa! What happened to Devin? Is this a wheel failure? He just went straight at turn 4. Did he clip the grass?
I didn't get to go on board with him quick enough, but yeah, that is a big moment. I don't really know what happened, but that is very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, especially considering both those cars are running well. They're still running well, but that's not good. Drift King, yeah, is that what you're going to say? Drift King and It's Z?
Yeah.
It's right in front of Ardell, who just came out.
Side.
For our lead, Goatley wants it back, and he will not get it back, but he pushes Turbo onto the grass. That could have been race ending. Luckily, Turbo kept it straight, and I don't think that's the first time that's happened there down at turn 1 with someone clipping the grass. Meanwhile, Goatley does get the lead back here on Alex Norris. The RBs are switching at the front of our field. Tell that to somebody last game when it was one of the slowest cars with AlphaTauri.
Yeah, I definitely have experience with that tractor of a car. As Tier 2 Season 11 was definitely a painful one to drive. But
almost a big shunt for Ardell. He needed to make the move, but that was contact with Drift King right there that forced him back from doing so. He's going to use a bit of battery to try and get through a second time, but there was a penalty on the top of our screen. That's now 5 drivers in the penalty club, and Drift King is not making this easy for Ardell. Ardell puts one up the inside, shoves Drift King out of the way. A little bump and run there from Ardell. I guess, you know, being a Canadian, he would know a bit about that NASCAR style kind of racing. But he's up to 12th, and he'll need to get past Itzy quick enough here. And for our lead, we have another change. This time it's for second place, actually. Goatley back, turbo up right there.
Yeah, these V-carbs, I can't really tell if they're working together, but, you know, Turbo wants this when he wants to get back in this championship, but the two V-carbs are making it easy, as Polish is now trying to go side by side, going to turn 4, as there was one of the Astons, I think that's Noah Boy that's had a bit of an incident. But yeah, these V-carbs are, I don't really know whether they're wanting to help each other or not, but they're seemingly both up for the fight and definitely can have the pace to win.
We've definitely got some interesting opinions in Twitch chat for sure. Ardell did get it by Itzy, but Kick being ahead of Red Bull is diabolical. Ardell seems to be losing his head. These guys deserve jail time for letting the V-Carbs run 1-2. So some interesting opinions in Twitch chat. I'll tell you right now, with Uri not being up here and having the damage he had earlier on, it definitely throws a wrench in the way things are ran. And we have some more pit stops. Turbo and Goatley, you guys cannot speed here if you want to have a chance. Turbo locked the rears, trying to get it woed down. Goatley, of course, is the first one to make his pit stop of those guys, and I think this fight in Gagi, it helps Ardell, in fact. I mean, he got caught behind the Merc, and he could get a penalty for what happened there, but I don't know. We're going to see what happens, but Ardell is the one I think that helps. He just set fastest lap, but I mean, is there a chance we get a first-time winner today? We got Alex Norris has never won. Polish has never won. Polish only has 1 podium. Alex Norris only has 2 P4 finishes in Tier 3. I think 1 in Tier 2, maybe 2, if I'm correct. He's had a few P4 finishes. He's like the tadpole, really, of Tier 3 here, and before his podiums. In this fight was also Turbo, who's the championship contender, and Ardell has also never won, but he's had 3 prior podiums. And speaking of Uri, who's been out of this fight, he's ahead of Zora there now. I just really think for Uri, it's just gonna be simply be in the points today. Just get 1 or 2 points out of this if there's no safety car. That's gonna be his target, in my opinion.
Yeah, just watching Ardell making his way past Neski in the Mercedes, who also has damage. But yeah, Ardell almost 3 seconds clear of, over 3 seconds clear of Goatley, who he was fighting as Garrison gets a speeding penalty. That is not what he needed at all.
Wow. Yeah, not good. Neski is going to have a go back at Ardell. Will he make the move into turn 1? Yes, he will, actually. Leon Miner exceeds track limits 1 too many times and gets a penalty, but Neski is through. This is very interesting developing stuff, and he has damage, so he's going to hold up Ardell. Look at this. This is not going to go down without a fight. Ardell goes back past. Polish is out of the pits, right in front of Goatley and Turbo, so he got the overcut, excuse me, there on them two. So Polish Hammer will actually have a legitimate chance of winning this race. Maybe not now. Safety car deployed for Zora.
Yeah, this will mean Alex Norris can get a big lead from the safety car. This has given him a massive, blown the door wide open for him and Lil Fusion and Invade, and basically everyone who hasn't pitted will get a massive advantage from this.
Yeah, and Alex Norris is in. Invade also had a penalty to his name already. That is for track limits, so I know it won't help him, but he'll at least be up here. Fusion pits, and I expect JNR and Neski, who've yet to do so, to do the same. Ardell should come out here with a second place spot here, considering Alex Norris will get the lead of this race, I'm almost certain. We'll find out what happens there. But Polish Hammer jumping Goatley and Turbo is extremely huge for this race and where they run. Uri gets put back up into this fight as well. He'll have a chance for even more points than he had a chance of getting. Maybe 1 or 2 was on the cards. Maybe make it 4 or 6. And that was a speeding penalty, I believe, there under the safety car for Itzy. Is that correct?
Yes, it was one of the, I think it was Itzy that got a speeding penalty, but...
And was that contact between Goatley and Polish under the safety car there? I saw Goatley have to make a little crazy maneuver. I don't know if that was contact or not, but if it was,
Yeah.
could see the stewards room. No penalty given by the game from that, which is surprising. Usually it does give a penalty quite trigger happy under the safety car or VSC for stuff like that. But Alex Norris leads this race. Then it's Ardell, Invade, Polish, and Goatley. So 4 Italian cars inside the top 5, 3 Red Bull related cars inside the top 5, and Ferrari really have a chance to fight this with Red Bull now. Invade has that penalty. He can help his teammate now, who only has had a podium prior.
Yeah, I think Uriah's put again onto the mediums. He's down in 16th, but he's repaired that damage. You got to remember. So, and he's also not picked up a time penalty. I think it'll be a good opportunity for him to make his way up the pack as it is now closed up. But yeah, I think
F1, sorry, I was just going to say, F1 Shorts is suggesting that Zora crashed in the pits on purpose. I couldn't really tell where the safety car had came out from, but I don't know if it was on purpose or not. I hope oh, something happened there under the safety car with Fusion and Goatley, a little stack up there, but Leon and Z pits. If it is on purpose, then it definitely has to be clipped in order for something to be made from it. Just I wouldn't go suggestion things if it's not something you saw or someone else saw. Just put that out there. You were saying, Gagi?
yeah, I think Alex Norris leading his teammate Ardell, who actually said in the Red Bull server, "Are you kidding me?" So he's clearly not happy about the fact that he's been done under the safety car by Alex.
He would have a big lead.
To get out ahead of him.
I don't blame him. He would. I mean, whatever happened with Zora there, if it was intentional, let's just say it was for a second. And what F1 Short suggested, he said, I think he did. You can't see it good from my on board though, but I'll sort it out. All right. Well, if you do have it clipped, then submit it to the stewards. But meanwhile, I was just gonna say with Ardell is there's a Merc in the grass. That's Neski. I don't know what happened there. A little lawn mowing moment, but Ardell would have had a big lead on Alex Norris there when he pitted. He had already had a 2-3 second buffer ahead of Polish and Goatley, and Polish surprisingly jumped Goatley there. And with the safety car being out, Fusion got a cheap free pit stop as well. He's out of Turbo now. So Turbo's in 7th, Uriah's in 14th. Our 2 main contenders this season, 2 of the 3 winners of the season, down outside the top 5. So it feels like it's a door wide open for someone to get their first win tonight, or a different winner on the season if it's not a first-time winner. Invade has won before. Never know.
Yeah, I think he's on the mediums, and he also has that time penalty, so that's definitely not going to help him. But yeah, it's going to obviously, the V carbs were originally working together, I think, but or the GOS swapping, but yeah, now they're a bit separated. It'll be interesting to see how Alex Norris manages to hold up against Ardell, the lead of the race.
Well, in the meantime, we have 5 drivers remaining in this 19-car grid with track limit penalties, and it is Brazil. We did have a Tier 1 and Tier 2 race here recently. We've never had a Tier 3 race ran here before, but I do expect to see more track limit penalties be handed out before the end of the Grand Prix. We are past halfway, and those medium guys should be able to get to the end, but they've got to be careful, especially with some of the cars that do not have the best tire wear. I look at Ferrari as maybe one of those cars that do not have the best tire wear, and you got to make sure you don't run too hard because you will be in puncture territory. We should be getting the safety car restart underway. Just a reminder for those of you who want to tune into more racing throughout the weekend, we are in Qatar for the remaining races this weekend. Tier 2, F2, and F1. If you're wanting to only be here for Tier 3 exclusively, we have Japan next week. And as things stand right now, it's 7th and 8th for McLaren. That's, 14 points compared to Red Bull's 18? That's not enough for Red Bull to clinch the championship tonight, but they could put Mercedes out of contention. All right, you're right about seeing that in chat. An RB, a V-card, whatever you want to call it, leads this race on pure pace, and they have been with Goatley. We go back to the green flags. We saw some side-by-side further back before the line. Will that be anything later on? Polish Hammer and Ardell get, Polish Hammer and Invade get Ardell. Ardell's collided with Polish Hammer down there at turn 1. Ardell has been put to the back of the field. Polish has been put to the back of the field. Big change at the front of our field because now Kick Sauber are up there with Fusion. Whatever happened on that safety car restart, it's changed things drastically. Neski's down the order with Mythic. Polish Hammer had a big getting together there with Ardell. I was just going to say, Polish Hammer and Invade, they got a great restart throwing up the inside there of Ardell. They took massive advantage, but it was a big collision that costed them there. Just connected wheels there. That's the F124 physics for you. And Zora said he went into the pits to retire. All right, so, well, whatever happened there by the safety car may have not been caused by Zora based on what he's saying, but Alex Norris leads this race now here in Brazil. He'll be in the car next season. That runs in second right now. I'm not sure what's happened to Gagi, but in the meantime, I'll take over for what's going on here. Devin, Garrison, side by side. Devin is in 6th now. Neski speeds in the pit lane, and he retires from the Grand Prix. So we have 2 Merc Academy cars out of the race. JNR is fighting this with all he's got. Can he get 2 and 1 down to turn 4? He won't send one up the inside of the Sauber, but he'll get clear of the McLaren now. And further behind, Uri is up into the points there. After the day he's had, that seems like it's just a miracle now at this point.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what's happening with our controller today, but yeah, I tell you, I feel so bad for him. He qualified, he got the sprint pole, he was so close to the main pole, and then just that one silly incident, the safety car restart has just completely screwed him over. He's now got, he's losing time ever so slightly. It's just, he's been, I think in general, he's just had quite a lot of, he's just been really unlucky throughout the whole season. Obviously, he's going back to tier 2 next season, but in favour of the lead up to 1st, so ahead of Alex Norris.
Turbo retakes 4th, JNR retakes 6th, and here comes Uri fighting this out on the main straight. There's a lot of drivers right in this window trying to gain spots and also trying not to lose spots. Uri pinches Timbed and then gets it thrown back at him. They're side by side now in the run to turn 4. Who's going to get out in front here, and can Uri fight it out any longer? He's going to be overtaken there, but he still stays in 10th. He overtook Drift King, I believe it was. There's a lot of action here in the midfield, and this is a train that starts up with Turbo. Remember, Turbo needs to beat Uri by quite a few positions here tonight if he wants to remain in the championship fight. Uri, big movement there. He was trying to slide in behind with Timbed, and there's contact now with Drift King. There is so much happening. With the penalties that's going to be applied with JNR and Garrison, I mean, Uri's going to finish 8th right now. I don't know if that's enough for Turbo. We'll look at it in a moment when this all calms down. But Drift King and F1 Shorts are going at it. Now Uri, Timbed, and Garrison are going at it. So much going on. Garrison got shoved out wide. Uri tried to play DRS games. They're now 3 abreast right here. 4 wide. Crash! Big crash! Timbed! F1 Shorts, they're in the wall. Leon Miner's out of this race. He went airborne, VSC deployed. Big shunt, big incident, pit lane we go. Wow. And Devin's lagged out. And that's now a safety car, upgraded to a full safety car right there. Uri, I don't know why he was trying to play DRS games there or what was going on. But I'm going to say it all started there with Garrison. Whenever he either got shoved out wide or just went out wide there, down at, oh, Drift King. That's a game glitch. That's a game glitch caught on stream. He got a 10-second time penalty awarded to him, and then the game stopped him. He literally had a screen freeze on Xbox, and Uri, I don't know what's happened to him, but he's got a 3-second. So much is going on in the last 2 minutes, I just can't keep up. But what is going on? And Drift King's had to happen again. Drift King's under the map.
What the hell just happened to Uri? He just flew in the air.
Drift King is under the circuit right now. Our safety car is clearly deployed there down in turn 4, but Drift King, I don't even think he's in Brazil anymore with what's going on to him. Front wing missing, of course, and he's having a ton of game glitches. He just got stopped on the circuit again. That's the 3rd time. We have pit stops made from Devin, who's either just joined back the session or not in it any longer, and JNR also as well. Gagi, I can't keep up with what happened there, but you know, the DRS chicken that was being played right there into the second to last corner, out of the last braking zone, it just was unacceptable. And it's practically what caused the collision there. I don't mean to be mean here in any way, shape, or form, but with the game glitches going on at Drift King here, this is going to be a valid reason to retire from the race if he does retire. We already have 3 Merc Academy cars out. Leon Miner was the one most affected in that collision there on the main, heading to the main straight, but I don't know what has happened here in the last 3 minutes. And Ardell is saying he doesn't have internet with whatever happened. Well, take a breath, folks. But that safety car came out when Uri, Timbed, whatever happened there in that midfield, they just try to go 3-4 wide. And Uri has been affected under the safety car with whatever happened here. This is very, very troubling now for our championship leader. He has a 3-second penalty, by the way, for good measure, but Ardell said he has not had internet since the first lap of the safety car. Well, a lot of drama is going on in this event for sure. And it just does not seem like it's stopping. Turbo runs 4th, but our leader has a penalty. That puts him up in 3rd. If Uri does not score points today in the main race, that's a 15.5 point gap we have going into the next Grand Prix. And yeah, JTK said he saw it on Noah's view. Uri just clipped through the map as well. So whatever happened to Drift King there happened to Uri. And AMS Devin is now out of the race as he tries to rejoin the session.
I completely dropped my controller as I was watching the absolute terrorism that was unfolding in front of my eyes. And I've been trying to reach the battery under my cabinet for the last 5 minutes, but we are back.
Well, you're probably questioning things just as much as I am, and GTKF1 fan is wondering if we're driving on Rainbow Road or something. Yeah, that was something there for Drift King. I mean, the game literally stopped his car on track 3 times. That's something I've only seen be a PC or PS glitch for the drivers, not something for an Xbox driver happen at all. But whoa, look at that. It happened to Uri as well. The same thing that's happened to Drift King moments ago, and it's seriously affecting our championship leader even more than we thought. And he's lagged out, and he's out of the race. Oh no! Drama unfolding, uncharacteristic things happening throughout the last 5 minutes of this Grand Prix. How do you keep up with this stuff if you're a commentator? How do you keep up with this stuff if you're a racer? I don't know.
So I don't know what is happening with my controller, but
well, whatever's happening with your controller is probably not as bad as what's happening to Uri and Drift King. Uri is out of this race, and this championship could officially go to Japan under one circumstance. Turbo must finish P8 with fastest lap or higher. He just has to. He has no other choice. There's 15 cars remaining in this race, by the way.
yeah, I think
Invade just made contact with the safety car as well.
yeah.
What is going on?
I saw Uri just like go under the map or something, and I don't know what is.
Oh my word. Well, it happened with Drift King as well, as we know. I mean, I know Uri wanted a safety car, or not a safety car restart, a lobby restart. We're so late into the event. The only thing we can possibly do because of being halfway is do the same thing we did in Qatar, which would be, you know, shorten the event. But, you know, I don't even see that as a possibility unless this gets worse. But it's only happening for 2 guys. But I think Uri is going to have to watch from the sidelines here and hope his title fate really is in the hands of Turbo finishing well or not finishing well here, because obviously that can be the difference. I know Uri's pinging me to do something, but I can't do anything, and neither can you, Goggy. I mean, we are not admins here. That's the thing here. So, and it's already past halfway. Invade leads the Grand Prix, but when the penalties get applied, it won't be him leading. It'll be Alex Norris. And Drift King, who was having trouble staying in the country of Brazil, is now out of this race. We restart with 10 laps to go. What a weird way to finish out the Grand Prix. We're going to have 10 more weird ways we could end it out. Invade leads this race. He takes control. Further back, we've got some movement. It's Noah Boy, JNR, all trading places. I mean, we're going to see a lot of guys take big advantage now in point spots that we didn't think could have. Fusion's 5th for Sauber. Both RBs are on the podium and 1-2 when the penalties get applied. A Haas, an Alpine, and even a returning Aston driver who's not been here in the top 10 all day is now running here.
Yeah, Alex Norris seemingly not losing touch from the back of Invade. Bit of oversteer there as his teammate Goatley is still sticking with him. It could be a V-Carb 1-2 if everything goes to plan, but V-Carb, sorry, the Haas and the Alpine side by side.
Yeah, F1 Shorts just took the last point spot. He's going to be getting more when the penalties do get added up. We are seeing such a chaotic Brazilian Grand Prix, a chaotic penultimate round. We've seen a lot of things happen here in RPL Brazil, but nothing like this, I would have to say. Invade is boosting to try and pull that gap. He still really can finish high right now. And he's only got a 3-second. He beat P7 right now if we finish out. Polish Hammer gets Garrison. Garrison will try to fight this back, and he does. But Polish tried to pull the cut back and got cut off.
Yeah, I think
good.
Alex Norris doesn't have the pace to get
Oh,
past on the main
collision!
straight.
Big shot in the back straight. Polish, J&R, they've been most affected, and that's the second time that Ferrari has gone down the order. Big incident going 3 wide there.
Yeah, Tim
Major
now on the
damage
back
to
of
Ferrari.
Polish. Oh my god.
Timbed is getting eaten alive, and there's another incident down in the corner. Polish is out of the race. And that's another VSC. This is utter chaos.
Oh my god.
Well, that is crazy. What? What? This is not a full safety car, by the way, like the last one did get upgraded to, but will anybody pit at the front of our field? I don't think you do, but this is crazy. We got a Sauber now 5th. We got F1 Shorts gonna be net P6. What a wild, wacky race. Trying to think of who else was involved. I think Noah Boy was the Aston on the main straight. If it wasn't him, it was Timbed. But what's going on? And J&R is out. Noah Boy gets a drive through. He was in the point spots moments ago. Oh no. And what's happening back here? Noah Boy and Ardell. What is going on? All right, well, J&R got retired. This lobby's definitely getting a little laggy, but the driving is not getting better either. Oh boy. Polish is not too happy with Garrison having some choice words there, but
Oh.
this is ridiculous.
I don't know what is happening in this way. I think it could just be that I'm hosting the lobby and
Some think that, but I don't know if that's the case or not, though. Because this didn't even happen in the sprint. I mean, you got to remember, the stuff that happened to Drift King and Uri, that's simply EA stuff. But what I saw with Ardell and Noah Boy did seem a little uncharacteristic compared to EA glitches. I don't know. This is one of the most craziest races in RPL history. That's for sure. But in the meantime, Alex Norris, does he want to win this race on track? Remember, Goatley is right behind his teammate. He can fight this as well. But you got to be careful you fight this because you don't want to put yourself back into the trenches of Turbo either. Oh boy, pits.
yeah, I think Alex Norris still sticking to the back of Invade. Those meters could be starting to go off. But will he be able to make his way past that fly on track? Obviously, it wouldn't matter if Invade, if the penalty gap stayed the same, but
he still could finish on the podium if Turbo and Fusion
Yeah.
battle, though. That'd be a great way to send himself off. Remember, Invade, one of the Tier 3 drivers who got picked for the showcase event. That's something we'll talk about later on throughout the weekend. Ardell was one of them. Turbo was one of them. And so is Uri. But right now, for our top 3 spots, we could see a trade in places down to turn 1. 6 laps remain in the Brazilian Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Fusion for Sauber right now is on the net podium by getting that place. F1 Shorts, Mythic, Z, we're 3 wide. We saw trouble happen last time. We saw contact this time in a turn 1.
Yeah, Alex Norris making his way past the past the Ferrari.
That'll be his TP next season.
Invade slightly touching the back of the V carb, but now Invade is stuck between the two V carbs. Will Alex Norris slow up a bit to maybe try and get Goalie past Invade as well?
I mean, this is just utter chaos, and now Timbet is just shoving the back of the Haas here into the corner. He's going to go for a dive bomb. He's going to go for a lunge from quite a ways back and trying to pull this off. He's saying, I don't want to get stuck behind you any longer, and they're just leaning and bouncing off one another. They do keep themselves alive. Mythic tries to throw it up the inside. He doesn't have any penalties. He wants to get a good point spot, being demoted down to the Alpine team just this week, but we are now going to have 5 laps remaining. We've had 6 winners in RPL Tier 3, but Alex Norris has never won. Goatley has never won. Neither has an RB. Invade takes over back the lead of the race. Now Goatley gets the net lead.
Yeah, I am buying a new cable tomorrow, but let's not worry about that. So, yeah, Goatley looking for the move on Invade. I don't know whether he's close enough to make a move on this lap. No, he's not.
Got a great battle.
Yeah,
these P6 this is a great scrap, by the way.
Yeah.
Big points for F1 Shorts. Last week, he became the first driver born late 2011 or later in RPL to get a points finish. He got a 10th place finish. He's looking for his best points finish as well, with that being said. Fusion's never finished in the top 5 as well, if I'm correct. I mean, he was close, I think, in Spa. I think he just finished outside of it, but these are some great results from these guys. And by the way, Invade has pulled that 3-second gap, so he will finish on the podium currently as things stand. Meanwhile, Invade does lead this race still. Alex Norris is right behind Goatley, but Goatley is closer to Invade than he is to Alex Norris right now as things stand. Turbo still remains in P4, and this currently is enough to remain in the championship fight in Japan. Timbed clears F1 Shorts, and Mythic is going to get the upper edge on the Haas, or is he? No, and for our lead, Goatley ahead of Alex Norris, Invade, excuse me. And Fusion for Kick Sauber is right now looking to get their best finish in Tier 3. They've only finished 5th once prior. That was with Pull Him Down, Goon, Sam, whatever you want to call him. Everyone knows him as 3 different names.
Yeah, I think Goatley is, I don't know if he's intentionally slowing up, but he doesn't look like he has the pace right now to hold on to Invade and Alex Norris, but it could not matter in the end, because even if one of the V-Cubs don't win, it would still be an absolutely amazing result for them, for both of them to get on the podium. But, you know, as we've seen in this race, anything can happen in such a short space of time.
And it's another trade at the front of our field down to turn 1. Alex Norris follows Invade through now to get the net lead of the race. Invade has it on track. Turbo gets back 4th. And will we see a trade for 6th place? No, we won't. None of those guys are close enough. But the net leader, got a penalty. That's Goatley. Goatley now will not be helping the case to get an RB12.
Yeah, that is really not what I think. The V-Cubs could have made a bit of contact on the turn 2 exit, but yeah, I think Goatley is still in the fight for the podium if Turbo still loses more pace. But yeah, Alex Norris is in prime position to take his first ever win in the V-Cub.
This is crazy stuff, and guess what? Turbo still could take a podium place because of where Goatley is at in comparison to him. These guys have got to be careful not to fight this. Invade would love to see Fusion fight Turbo just a little bit longer as well. We're going to have another trade in places at the front of our field down to turn 1 with what's going to be 2 laps remaining. And the ERS gets put on for just a moment as well. 2/10 is the gap. Invade is using it as well. Invade will not remain in the lead down to turn 1, or will he? He gets a bump from Goatley.
I think he went in none really early to make sure he didn't pass Invade, but now he's going to get a run down into turn 4. He's using the overtake on the penultimate lap. He's going to overtake Invade going into turn 4, but Alex Norris just sticking behind for now. maybe not wanting to take his chance as he knows that he has the net race win.
But Invade and Goatly have to be aware of the situation with Turbo right now. Right now, if things stand the way they are and without the penalties, Turbo's getting 12 points, keeping himself in a good spot championship contention-wise. If he gets another place or two based on Goatly and Invade's situation, that gives himself down below maybe 16, 15 points with the gap with him and Uri heading into Japan next week. And also, with what Red Bull are doing as well, too, they're not going to score any points today, which is a super big surprise in the main race. But in the meantime, McLaren, they're running 10th. They're running 4th, could be 3rd. I don't know if they'll be within championship contention or not any longer, but we'll find out after the race is over. We've got a battle for our lead with the 2 guys who have penalties, all in front of Alex Norris, who could win his first race. He's even never had a podium prior, and these 2 have got to be careful fighting it. They both go in the wall, and they're both going to cost themselves a podium. Through goes Alex Norris on the final lap, and Goatly's off. Goatly's got major damage. With this finish, I think McLaren might keep themselves in contention, and Vane and Goatly are squawking around now for 2nd on track. Oh, more contact, more touching with them too. And Turbo will go through to take 2nd. And we're going to see a Sauber on the podium when this is all said and done too. What a wacky, wacky ending to our penultimate round in Brazil. I mean, Goatly's not giving this up with the Sauber. There's a collision. He turned in, and Fusion collided with him. Alex Norris has never had an RPL podium prior to today. It's not just a podium, it's a win. Alex Norris wins for the first time in Brazil. Turbo gets 2nd, and we are going to see a Kick Sauber on the podium in Tier 3. Wow, and Mythic has just been put in the wall. What a crazy ending. Turbo keeps himself in the fight, and Red Bull, after all, they'll get a point. F1 Shorts gets his best finish. It's Z gets his best finish. Timbet as well. Invade and Goatly had maybe comfortable podium spots, but costed themselves of that on the final lap. And they're only 4th and 5th. Meanwhile, look at that podium. It's a first-time win for VCarb. It's a first win for Alex Norris. And this is performance is why, like this one, he'll be in the Ferrari next season. Fusion gets his first podium, and Turbo keeps himself in the championship fight. Make that gap now 12.5 points into Japan. What a chaotic ending in Sao Paulo. What have we just seen? A Sauber on the podium. An RB on the top step of the podium. Polish obviously not happy with the game developers. And Fusion, he doesn't even have a full-time seat next season. Is this what earns him a full-time seat? A first podium for Kick Sauber? Alex Norris is victorious. He's never been on the podium. But today is his first time, and what a way to do it on the top step. Turbo clawed himself back up there for 2nd when it just did not look possible. And Fusion, as we said, got his first podium. Here are your results. McLaren, they're going to get 20 points right there from that. Is that enough to stay in the Constructors' fight? I'm going to find out. But here are your total points in the weekend. What a wacky, wacky race. 17th to 4th from Invade. Fusion did get helped by that safety car quite a bit, but he does deserve all the credit in the world. He kept that Kick Sauber in the fight. Oh, crap. I'm not going to get the bottom of the screen. Ah, here we go. Well, we did lose quite a bit of drivers there at the end. 13th on back. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of questions in terms of the driving standards this race, but also a lot of questions of the legitimacy of EA and Cody's license of this game, too. So, Yeah, big W for Haas. I agree. That's major points for them. It's also major points for Kick Sauber, who are no longer our last in the championship too. Um, Driver of the day, Alex Norris. Second option goes to Kick Sauber, and then I'll give it my third option, Invade. I mean, maybe I can swap around the Sauber and the RB, but the RB of Alex Norris kept himself up there on pure pace all day long. And that's what happens for Fusion when you qualify extremely well like he did too. You might get helped by a safety car, but you put yourself in the fight due to qualifying as well as you did and keeping yourself in position. So, a job well done there. And we're going to have two fights go into Japan, Gagi. McLaren are still eligible for the championship. It's down to McLaren and Red Bull. I mean, McLaren, they need to score max points next week. Red Bull need to score basically nothing. That's practically what it needs to be for McLaren to win the championship. And, of course, we know the situation for Turbo and Uri. 12.5 points. Wow. I'm out of breath.
I can't put that race into words.
I know why.
It literally made me throw my controller on the ground, and like honestly,
They wanted to honor your first time commentating here by honoring your driving from a year ago in this league. So I mean, I'm impressed that they could do it that well.
yeah. I definitely, I mean, I've definitely had my bad. Oh my god, voice crack. I've definitely had my bad moments in the past, but um, I've never seen anything like that before. It was just complete. It was just complete anarchy across the whole entire race, and it ended up being a driver who we actually expected to be in the fight, who managed to take the win. Kind of. That's what I said. That's what I said before the race was begun. Keeping your head cool, not going for any desperate moves, and that's exactly what Alex Norris did. Keeping his head calm under pressure, capitalizing on the two ahead of him colliding, even though that emphasizes that's not English. It's not English essays. Anyway, which kind of proved the fact that he managed to keep his head calm, not get any time penalties, and that's how he earned the win.
I mean, some could argue Alex Norris was helped by the safety car for sure, which maybe he was, but he was in the top 5 fight with Goatley the entire time before the safety car came out. And I do have to feel a little bit for Ardell. It looked like he could have maybe won today's race without the safety cars and everything that happened. I mean, for Tier 3, I see J&R talking about the standards, but I'll tell you right now, Tier 3 definitely has its moments of bipolarness. Last week we had an extremely clean race in Miami, and no safety cars, no VSCs, 3 retirements. I think all of them came to the game glitches or the pit lane. Today we had like 7 or 8 retirements, and well, as we know, we had quite a bit of safety cars and VSCs come out in today's event, and just not the cleanest of races. It reminds people of what Zandvoort was like. So hopefully we do get cleaner for the remainder of the races this weekend. All in Qatar for Tier 2 tomorrow, F2, and F1 on Saturday. We'll have to catch you then, but congratulations to Alex Norris and VCAR for picking up their first Tier 3 wins here in RPL. The championship fight goes on to Japan next week between Red Bull and McLaren, between Turbo and Uri. Make sure you join us for them, for then, folks. And until next time, Ryan Searles, Blue Goggy 14, signing off. Have a good night, folks. We'll see you either tomorrow for Tier 2 or next week for Tier 3.
Bye.
Bye.